Networking. Networking is possibly the most important commercial skill that is going to be for the future. It is now, and it will be the future of commercial skills. Networking is going to be amazingly powerful as the way that you work in the future. Now, the interesting thing about networking is that it's one of those skills that kind of people, they know they should do, but they're not, in the normal world, as comfortable or confident as they could be. And I have a confession to make, because many years ago, I was also not as confident as I thought I could be. I was a sales guy. I had been a sales guy for several years. I kind of know this stuff. I know what to do. And yet, I went along to a networking event, and I paid to go, and I came into this big room. It was kind of in a hotel, and I went along there. Of course, I was going there to make new contacts, and I went in, and I looked in the room, and the first thing that struck me was I looked for people I knew. I was like, is anybody here I know? Which was kind of daft, because I went there to meet new people. And when I looked around, I thought, strangers. These are strangers I'm seeing. Why I should be surprised by that, I don't know, but they were strangers. So I went over to where there's always kind of a watering hole, isn't there? Some sort of bar or a kind of coffee place. I went over there, got myself a cup of coffee. Nobody had talked to me so far. So I thought, okay. So I did what a lot of people do. I get out my phone. I've got friends, yeah. Real friends, yeah. Start looking at my phone, pretending that I'm doing stuff for a bit, and it's like, no, nobody's come up to me yet. After 14 minutes, I know it was 14 minutes because I was looking at the clock on my phone. After 14 minutes, I thought, this is a complete waste of time, and I left. I didn't meet anybody. And the interesting thing was, it was a complete waste of time and money, because I'd gone to this event and I hadn't met somebody. And since then, I started to think about this and started to work out so there is a process. Because when I talk to people about the skills of networking, they often say, yeah, I'd like to do networking, but I find it difficult to get into conversations with people. And then when I do, I don't know what to say. Okay, we got a bit of work to do then. It's a bit like somebody saying, I really want to be in a musical, but I can't sing or dance. Is that a problem? And the answer is, no, it's not a problem. And the reason it's not a problem is because networking is a skill. You can learn it. You can learn how to be great at it if you just follow some really simple rules. I've condensed these down into just 4 statements and a couple of principles. And the key things you need to know are these 4 points. Know, like, trust, buy. Know, like, trust, buy. And you have to do them in that order. You can't jump it. You can't suddenly go to the buy bit. You can't get people to buy you without the first bits. I need to know you. I need to like you. I need to trust you before that is going to happen. And the great thing about networking is that it's fundamentally about these first 2 things: getting to know you and getting to like you. If you do that successfully, then the rest will flow. The rest will happen. Give it time, it will happen. So let's take this first principle, know. What I mean by this is the idea that it's face-to-face. I know because I've met you. Now, again, one of the things about networking, people talk about social networks and all of these social networking tools. And aren't these really good? Yes, they are. Actually, I think they're really good because they help at the front end. They might give you people that you could talk to. And they help at the back end because they might help you to follow up with people. But the bit in the middle is the key bit. That needs to be face-to-face. People said to me, but Christopher, I mean, look at, in the USA, isn't like half everybody who's married has met on the internet? No, they haven't. No, they didn't. They may have gone through a selection process. They may have seen many people who might be potentially, but at some stage they had to meet. There was a face-to-face moment where they were meeting, and at that point, actually, that's when the like bit and the trust bit came in. So it's a contact sport. It's a human contact sport. And that's why it's so important that you understand the key principles. And the concept is getting to know people in circumstances where you're going into rooms and you need to meet new people. And I'm going to show you something now that is going to transform your life. And so for that, I quickly need 6 volunteers. I think we might have some. Do we have? Okay, can you quickly come up on stage? We need just 6 of you to come up. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 1 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we've got 1 more here. Herbert, can you come over here and just stand there? And then I need the 3 of you to stand together like that, and the 2 of you to stand together here. I've got 1, 2. If you can... Yeah, if you just, because I need a 1, a 2, and a 3. So come, stand together. Great. Move a little bit that way. Lovely. Whenever you come into a room, people will stand in a certain way. They always stand in this way, okay? There are singles, there are pairs, and there are threes. Okay? Singles come in only one form, single. Okay? Pairs and threes come in 2 forms, okay? There's this form, which is a closed pair. They're chatting. Chat, 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 chat. That's an open 3. If they were closed, then they would be like that. Okay? So singles in one form, pairs, threes. Okay? So if just open up a bit and open up. These guys are networking. They're really keen, okay? Now, who is the most likely person to want to talk to you? Herbert. Okay? Now, Herbert is an amazing guy. He could be just the person I wanted to talk to. He could be the best contact I've ever had. There's only one of him, okay? Great person, and if you've ever been stuck at a networking event, it's because you've been stuck with one person, okay? So lovely man, could be great. 2s could be great, but actually what I go for is this group. If they're closed groups, ignore them. Go for an open 3 with at least 1 woman. I've scored pretty well here, but and there's a really important reason for that. There's 2 really important reasons. One is actually women tend to be more socialized in terms of bringing people into groups. That's proven in sociological research. The second reason is that can be in business who are women. That's just unfortunate, but it's the way. So when you go into a meeting room, very quickly, singles, seen them, pairs, seen them, 3s, and there won't be so many 3s with a woman. Now I have a target. And what you do is you simply go up to this target, because you need to get into it quickly, and you say, "Hi, may I join you?" And then you shut up. You shut up. It's really important. And quietly, as they're talking, so you close the group. Now they're mine. And I can network with them. So it's a really simple thing. Singles, pairs, 3s. Open 3 with a woman, that's your target. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, if you don't believe me, just go on the internet and Google conference coffee break and look at images. There are thousands of them. I have no idea why people put conference coffee break pictures on the internet, but they do. I have picked some random ones. I have no clue who these people are. If you are in the audience and you see yourself, it's like, wow, hi. Here we have a group, and you'll now start looking at this, and you'll start to see, you can see the groups. Here's a closed 3. Here's an open 2. Look how desperate singles get. This guy's given up. He's reading a book. That's kind of old school iPhone stuff, okay? Here's another group, okay? Interesting group. Apart from being a bit male, pale, and stale, this group is probably from a group who know each other, because there's lots of closed groups, and often this is a problem. People go, I went there, but there was no women, and there wasn't any open, what do I do? Well, use tables. See that gap there? That's a table gap. That's where you move in and you put your coffee down, because that gives you a chance to open up the group. And like any rule, you always have to have the rule and then use your intelligence. Okay? Here's another group. When you look at this, you'll think, aha, I spot an open 3 with a woman. There it is. Okay? But again, you have to just keep paying attention. Watch the body language, okay? Because this 3 is about to self-destruct. This guy is thinking, why am I here? This guy has gone into a coma. Okay? So you have to keep your eyes open. You have to think carefully about the group that you're going to join. And then, just as I said, you need to get them to like you. How are you going to do that? Lots of people I talk to, they say, well, I want to get to the selling bit, and I'm not really good at selling, so I don't like going to sell stuff, because I don't know what to say, and I don't know how to present myself. When you've joined that group, as I said, you button it. Wait. Wait. And wait stands for, why am I talking? If you're talking, you're not learning. If you're talking, you're not listening. There's a lovely phrase. Be interested before being interesting. Be fascinated by the other person. You don't have to have any content. Just be fascinated. You are all amazing, fascinating people with extraordinary histories. Everyone is. Talk to them. Get them to talk. Be fascinated by them. Don't sell. Don't try and be that person who sells. And I'll give you a real story. It's a true story. I was a bit more experienced in networking. I went to an event and found my group, and I was in a closed 4. I know it was a closed 4. I closed it. And on that instance, it happened to be a lady butted in. It was like, butt in, hi, hello. It's like, oh, hello, hello. Then she did like the card dealing. Like a card. Thank you. The key issue you need to think, the reason you need to be interested before being interesting is that you don't know about you. You're fascinating people with all these different backgrounds. And not only that, I'm just not networking with you. I'm networking with every single person you know. Think of not of the person opposite you, but of them and everybody on their shoulders who they know. That's the network that you're talking to. Because if they personally recommend you, that is going to be gold dust. So she butts in. She says, hello, hello, card, hello. And she sells. She says, hello, I'm from so-and-so cleaning company. And we are a really good cleaning company, and we're really efficient and really good value for money. Good. So she turns to me and she says, do you have an office? And I say, yes, I do. Who cleans it? Sometimes me, but I have to confess, mainly my wife. Oh, she said, do you have an office at home? So I said, yes, I do. I'm not joking. She said, oh. She turned to the bloke standing next to me and said, do you have an office? Now, it is true, I run my consultancy from my own house. But what she didn't know, what she never found out, was that at that time, I was also the chairman of governors of a school, a big school in Manchester in the UK. 1,200 boys. That's a lot of cleaning. That very moment she was standing there, we had had a meeting 2 weeks before when we were going out to tender for a new cleaning company for the school. She never got to know that. Do you know how much pleasure it gave me thinking, you'll never get to know this? Okay, my bad. You should always be open. You should always think positively of people. And that's the key. Don't sell. If she'd bothered to just say, hi, how are you? What do you do? Tell me more about you. She would have been on that tender list. Because it's about how you make people feel. Knowing and liking is about how you make people feel. And a quick story about these two people. They're prime ministers in the UK at the turn of the 19th century. Gladstone, rather a formal man, and Disraeli, who was a very smooth talker. And there's a tale that one of the ladies, society ladies, had dinner with one of the prime ministers when he was prime minister, and then one of the other ones later on. And Gladstone, who was a more formal man, she had dinner with Gladstone, and she said, "By the end of dinner, I knew I had been sitting next to one of the most intelligent men in England." So he clearly had a very strong impact with her. And she said, "I had dinner with Prime Minister Disraeli, and by the end of dinner, I knew I was one of the most intelligent women in England." It's how you make people feel. Make them feel good. Givers gain. Networking is about giving. How can I help you? What is it I can do for you? What sort of contacts are you after? Is there somebody I can put you in touch with? That's the skill. Because if I do that, if I give to you, then the universe has a strange and interesting way of paying you back every time. It may not be instant, okay? Networking is not necessarily an instant fix. Over time, if you do the right things, you will grow your network, you will be effective. And it's the simple principles. Know, like, trust, buy. Start off with know and like, and the rest will flow. And in terms of transforming your thoughts, your images, your ideas for the rest of your life, maybe when you go into the next big conference room, you'll be looking there and you'll be thinking, oh, singles, pairs, 3 with a woman. And if my voice comes into your head, then that might help in terms of you thinking of the things that I've taught. If my voice comes into your head with an image, I'm sorry for that. And if my voice comes into your head with an image of me in Speedo swimming costume, seek medical advice immediately. Thank you very much.